Peace and blessings. How are y'all doing? I'm the Moon Mama. Today is Wednesday, and Wednesday is a Mercury day, and Mercury is currently at the 13th degree of Gemini. So Mercury is home in Gemini, and Mercury is the planet that governs our how we create, how we perceive our reality, how it's the planet that's closest to the sun, which means that it's closest to the light, to our generating force of the universe. Our minds are closest energetically to the force that gives us power. Um, and 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 oh gosh, it's at the 13th degree. So how we think is, connected to the light waves and all. Like, I really can't explain all this stuff. I don't understand it to be able to explain it, but I do understand it enough to be able to talk about how it impacts us, right? So Mercury at the 13th degree is the degree of intelligence, and Mercury is our perceived reality. It's what we think, it's what we speak. What we think and what we speak is filtered through what we feel as well. And so with Mercury, it's important for us to be mindful of our inner dialogue, the language that we are speaking to ourselves. The things that we hear ourselves say are the most important thing ever. We believe that if somebody says something to us, like if somebody comes up to me and be like, you bald headed, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter what they say. It matters what I think about what they say. That's how it works. Like, what we think matters more than anything in our reality. We are creating our reality by what we think. The challenge is that we believe that the 3D reality is where the power really is. We believe that things on the outside of us have an effect upon us. And they have the effect upon us that we allow them to have. So for instance, I know when I was growing up, I grew up in Watts, I've shared this before, and I grew up at a time when gang violence was very prominent. And there were countless times where I would be in spaces and we would be having a good time. There would be partying, there'd be music. We were teenagers, young adults, people would be smoking weed and all that kind of stuff and partying. And I would be in the environment. And then there were a couple of times where I heard myself say, it's time for you to go. And I leave. And then the next day I hear that, shortly after I left, somebody shot up the place and a few people were died, or the police came in and people went to jail, or things like that. That was constantly a part of I had that happen to me about 3 or 4 times, let's say it that way. And what I realized is that I just didn't buy into the belief system that I was in danger, or that something was out to get me, or that something could overpower me. And because I didn't believe that, I didn't experience that. That's why what we tell ourselves is more important than anything. There is an intelligence within the universe that is listening to what we are telling ourselves. So if we tell ourselves, I am loved and I am beautiful and I have everything that I need, the inner dialogue, right? Not just the affirmations, right? Affirmations are great. They are the process that get us to reframe our inner dialogue. But what we really want to create an inner conversation that is always uplifting, or mostly uplifting, or a mantra that we can live with that brings us to the present moment, or that gives us an internal dialogue that is creative in a way that works for us. The mantra that I use Goddess is, I am. Goddess is, I am. Because it brings me to the present moment and I am with my full power. And so while the moon is also in Gemini, so Mercury's in Gemini and the moon is in Gemini. So we want to be very mindful of the voices within ourselves. I remember when I first started doing this work, I realized that I had a voice that was at odds with most of the people in my life, like just sort of an internal arguing going on. Like, they said this and it hurt my feelings, and like that voice, I had to stop that voice. That voice had to go away. And then there was a voice inside of me that was constantly looking for something or someone to save me. And that voice would sort of be like, if I was with somebody who had more money than me or more things, I would be energetically pulling on them, hoping that they would give me something that I believed that I didn't have. So that voice had to go away. And then I had a voice of like, the world is out to get me, like, like the country is against me because I'm Black. That voice had to stop, right? So in order to stop these voices, to call a truce, basically, like, let's just cut our losses, right? In order to do that, I had to hear the dialogue, and then I had to find a new truth for that. So, for instance, the story about Black women, what I did was I looked at what really goes on in this country. Like, I realized, like, oh, Black women built this country. Black women are the reason that this country is alive, is the reason that the country, survived. That's the truth about Black women. So nobody's out to get me because I am a valuable resource in this country, depending on how I think and how I live my life, right? And then the voice in me that was always looking for someone to see what somebody could give me, I was like, oh, I don't need anything. I'm a beneficial presence. Everywhere I go, I'm a benefit. So I don't need to be looking for what I can get. I can be looking for what I can offer because I'm a benefit. So I had to really call a truce with these voices inside of me that were draining my energy, that were sucking the life out of me. I had another voice inside of me around my relationship to the masculine that would just submit myself. So if a man was in my life and I had any sort of energetic with him, if I was sort of romantically inclined, I just would lose my power, and whatever he wanted is what would take precedent, right? So I started to ask myself, well, what is it that I want? Is what he is valuable to me, and not just me valuable to him? Like, I had to really assert my ego and force myself to get clear about what I wanted and what I needed, and then start asking and saying, I like this, and start saying no to things that I didn't like. And that was calling a truce with the voice inside of me that gives my power to the masculine. So today, while Mercury is in Gemini at the 13th degree, and that's the degree of intelligence, it's recognizing that there is a divine intelligence, and it is actively creating your reality. And it is important for you to make a truce with the voices inside of you that are against the reality that you desire. And sometimes that just means turning it to the opposite, creating a new scenario, a new story around those voices in your head. And the moon is also in Gemini. So we are richly and deeply implanted in our perception faculty today. And it's important to look at, because the sun is in Taurus, and that's a very slow energy, and it's a infantile energy that doesn't have a lot of language. So your thoughts really can usurp your feelings. And so you want to get your feelings and your thoughts in alignment, right? You want to slow your thoughts down. Like I said, make a truce with them. Slow your thoughts down and begin to think in alignment with your value, right? Like, I have peace, I have love, I have everything I need, I have harmony, I have joy, and this will bring you into a new relationship with that internal voice that is creating your life, whether you know it or not. So I encourage you today, if you would like to join, not if you'd like to, join the Pluto retrograde class. Pluto is going to be retrograde until October 7th. This class is really great for looking at where you're giving your authority away. I'm currently also now creating the Saturn retrograde class, which will start on May 27th. And the retrograde classes are self-taught, the rituals. So I'll give you the herbs that you need, the crystals that you need, and the practices that you need that you can do on your own timing. The Saturn retrograde class is going to be, because Saturn is about our 3D reality. It's about our cause and effect. So while Saturn's in retrograde, we're going to be able to look at the things that we've done a cause and effect that are no longer serving us, that we want to redo those energies, revisit those cause and effects. And we're going to be looking at building our reality with the Saturn retrograde, because Saturn is retrograding in Aquarius. Aquarius is the mind of God. So you want to be looking at the things you've created in cause and effect that aren't serving you any longer, that you can then begin to recreate. So I'll have the link ready for this probably Monday. And you can start joining the Saturn retrograde class. And yeah. So with that, peace and blessings. I am the Moon Mama. Have a wonderful Wednesday. Bye-bye.